Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Personalizing Search Results. This is the third webinar in our three-part webinar series on site search for councils. So be sure to check out the last two if you haven't yet. My name is Davila. I'm a sales engineer at Squiz. I know that personalization is a hot topic right now, and having worked in the search industry the last 5 years, I'm really excited to walk you through how we personalize search here at Squiz. We'll jump right into it. So, when you've got a couple of minutes to spare, try this little experiment. With a friend or a colleague on your different phones or devices, Google the same search terms, preferably something polarizing, and compare the results to each other. Chances are, unless you're searching anonymously, you will each get somewhat different results. These are personalized search results. They're results that have been tailored for you based largely on machine learning at scale from yours and others' prior search history and the terms you've searched on and the results you've clicked on. Simply put, the search has learned to serve up results that are more relevant to you. Google's obviously onto something, as its very name is now synonymous with internet search. But despite the customer experience benefits, this kind of personalization, which can be turned off, is at the more benign end of online filtering, about which there's a whole lot of social and government concern summed up in that phrase, filter bubble. So, if you're going to apply some personalization to your website search, you need to think it through quite carefully. Two good principles to keep in mind are one, transparency, so making it clear when personalization is being applied, and two, user control, allowing users to turn it off and see unfiltered results instead. With that caveat, let's think about your specific users and how personalization could improve their experience. Okay, so here are your three different website users. You don't actually know them or anything about their requirements. So doing personalization as defined in the Oxford English Dictionary to personalize their search experience by designing or producing something to meet someone's individual requirements might be kind of tough for you. So where do you think you might start? When thinking about search personalization, broadly, there are three approaches, which you can pick a mix. Starting with the lowest effort on your part, you can turn optimization on to happen automatically, or at least you can if you're using a modern search tool, such as our own funnelback search product. This is where the machine learning of the search tool mines actual search behavior to detect common associations and allows you to provide these back to the users who've searched on a particular term or arrived at a particular content page. Segmentation is about prioritizing content on the basis of relevance to users with common interest, or excluding or including content for that specific segment. And then with customization, you're allowing people to customize their experience in some way, or otherwise using data that they've provided to you so as to improve relevance, such as in a resident portal. Let's look at optimization first, starting with a lesson from the master of search optimization, Amazon. Amazon doesn't personalize your site experience the way you might expect. You might think that with all of their resources and with all of the data they have on us, that if you search for best gift for 40-year-old brother-in-law, and I search for best gift for 40-year-old brother-in-law, we're going to get different search results. But actually, we're going to get the same search results. So what is this e-commerce giant doing to drive sales with search and personalization? The answer is twofold. First, they are constantly engineering their site search results to be more and more relevant to the specific search term. And two, they are also providing increasingly relevant and high performance recommendations on the content or product page itself. If you go onto Amazon, click on any product, you will see multiple carousels featuring similar products. These are products which are similar to the product which you are currently looking at, or they're products which people who viewed your current product also bought. If you switch the purpose of search-driven in-page recommendation from buying more products to be something more relevant to council sites, such as save time or get your task done more easily, then maybe it's worth exploring how this optimization approach could improve the customer experience on your council website. Just like Amazon recommends a list of these related pages or products, so can a modern search like Funnelback, and it can place those recommendations into content pages on a website, as we've seen, or into the search results page. Now, this is reasonably advanced functionality that relies on machine learning, so you need to check whether your search engine offers this. If you're just using the search that came with your CMS, the answer is probably not. However, in Funnelback, And hopefully, in your own search tool, there is the required ability to recommend a list of items that user behavior relate to a given seed item. So, for example, it might recommend a list of URLs that were clicked on in the same search session as the seed URL, the one that you're looking at, or the subset of these that are also forms pages, or recommend a list of products that were frequently purchased in the same search session as this given product. In Funnelback, the main source of information for the recommender system is the logs of search queries and the search results that were clicked on. The good news is that these logs will be processed automatically, and no special configuration is needed to set the recommender system up. That's right, you can just literally turn it on, and the actions of your users will take care of the rest. And best of all, Funnelback keeps it current. So by default, only query and click records from the last 60 days will be taken into account when processing the logs. How might this work in practice for you? So you might set a seed URL such as your walks page. Then people viewing that page could see the automatically generated list of customers who viewed walks also viewed these other pages. And just note that this approach doesn't rely on any customer segment or individual user data to work. We don't need to know anything about our 3 website visitors. They're still anonymous, but their aggregate behavior that drives the recommendation is shown to everyone. So let's now look at some approaches relying on audience segmentation. A good search tool will allow you to manually promote specific search results based on a set of rules. And you can use this to prioritize, show, or exclude specific content for specific audience segments. In Funnelback, we call this rules engine the curator tool. There are a range of rules available, and while they will differ across the tools that you're using, the most commonly used rules are based on geography or URL parameters. Let's start with geography first. If you have a specific content for site users from a specific country, or for overseas site users more generally, then this is more often the simplest rule to implement for you. This is great for visitors either out of state or international. If someone comes to your site from an IP address, which is overseas, or it's from a specific country, in your search results page, you can then choose one or more pages or content which you want to promote into the top search result position. Here's an example. If they're out of state and they've searched for park, you can promote visitor-specific content to them instead of resident parking search results, right? So it's the same search term, technically, but it's different context. It is less likely that the out-of-state searcher is interested in residential parking, but they're more interested in visiting national parks or recreational parks. Another topical use case might relate to COVID restrictions and visitor requirements. Another rule that's really easy to implement is using URL parameters. This enables your comms and marketing team to personalize search results to users who have come in from a specific campaign that you're running. Let's look at a practical example of this. So imagine that you're running a communications campaign, which is all about getting people to apply for funding, which is available at the council, to get solar panels. And you're directing users from an ad to a landing page on your site. You can track the user using what is called a unique tracking module, known as a UTM parameter to some, which you can see in this URL here. It's the part which is highlighted and says solar panels. As visitors arrive to the search and they're identified as having come in from this campaign, such as with this UTM_campaign, solar panels, a good search tool should be able to factor this into the search results and personalize the results according to that visitor's associated campaign. For example, if a user comes to the homepage and they're clicking around, or they are on the homepage and they perform a search for something like council phone number, you can promote a search result to the contact details of the solar panel team. All the other search results will still show, but the solar panel team will be in the first place of the search for that term phone number. One thing to note here is that this is a manual curation. So your content or marketing team are choosing which pages you want to appear in the top position for each of these search terms. It relies on human effort, but Funnelback makes it quick and easy to do, which is why it's often the easiest way to get started exploring the customer experience benefits of personalization. Okay, so we've just talked about personalization through audience segmentation for people who are coming from particular locations and from particular campaigns. How do you begin to move past this and start personalizing for specific personas or audience segments, which are perhaps not quite so clear-cut? Generally, The easiest method is to upweight the search results that match specific search terms that you think your specific segment would be interested in. But you do this without changing the set of matching search results. Now, how does this work? Imagine for a second that you are a bank. You offer a bunch of different credit cards. You have one for kids called Credit for Kids. You have one for people on a median income called just, everyday Visa card. And then you have one that you offer to your high net worth customers called the Platinum Rewards card. You also have a bunch of different website personas for your bank, which map to these different products. So you'll have a high net worth persona, a kids persona, the median income persona. When someone comes to the site and their persona or segment is high net worth individual, when they search for a credit card, you want to reorder the results so that the platinum credit card is their number one result. But they might be looking to get a credit card for their child, so you don't necessarily want to hide the option for the kids credit card or even the everyday Visa card in case they're interested in that. You just don't want it right at the top. What are we doing here? We're upweighting the most relevant results to the persona. Now, each search platform will have a different way of doing this. In Funnelback, we're using the curator and configuring it so that when someone comes to the website and their persona equals high net worth, we're adding the additional search term platinum. So essentially, it's tilde platinum. So all credit card results that mention platinum will just be upweighted. The overall search result set won't be expanded to include other pages that might only mention platinum in their content. We're just reordering the search results that match the original search terms, but boosting results that contain the word platinum. Exactly the same approach can be applied to a council website with segments like resident or business or visitor. When we know what segment they are in, we can simply upweight the results most relevant to them. If they're in the business segment and they search building consent, we can upweight all the commercial building consent information, upweighting it above the residential content. And what are the benefits of this approach? So there are two main benefits that we see. Firstly, these rules are really easy to implement. You can start with one or two and see whether they give you an uplift in terms of the metrics that you are tracking. And then iteratively make these changes in this fashion, make more changes in this fashion. In addition, we're not hiding anything. We're only reordering the content. So the user experience will never degrade. For example, if they are in fact at work, and they're in the business segment, but they're looking for some information relating to business consents for their own home, they can still find it here. We're not filtering it. And no additional content needs to be created. The content will only be promoted if it's there. So you can iteratively improve your personalization over time rather than needing everything to be done at once. These are really important points because generally, personalization products require huge amounts of content to be created, and they require a lot of effort to implement the personalization rules in the tools that you're using. This approach mitigates each of those issues. You don't need to create any new content, and the rules are simple and quick to implement. Now, council websites have a particular challenge in the sheer breadth of information and services that are provided to these diverse audiences, along with the need for openness and transparency, all of which can impact the individual customer experience. So, personalizing the search experience based on audience segmentation can be a lightweight way to improve customer experience. But what can we do if we actually recognize the visitor as an individual? If you've captured some information about your site user and stored that in your CRM or some other accessible system, then their site search experience can be personalized. For example, by prioritizing content that matches inferred interest, even if they haven't logged in. So if a user's previous browsing or search history on your website shows an interest in, let's say, cycleways, if they cycle often, a modern search engine can prioritize related content. So the further prioritization could be given to cycleways that are closer to their residential address, if that's known. The benefit here is that while you're giving everyone the same search box to use, you're prioritizing results based on the known or inferred interest and preferences, just to save some time for them and improve overall customer experience. Of course, you need to remember the two important principles of transparency and user control if you're going to apply personalization in this way. Now let's look at customization. The important differentiator here is that this is user-driven. They're in control, and they're customizing their experience with the tools which you have given them. And this is really powerful because councils provide a huge array of services over large areas. Not everyone cares about the same thing in the same place. So, for an example, think about three different groups of people again. A father to young children, for example, he might want to know about the play parks in the area or activities which his kids might enjoy. The vocal resident might want to know about any consultations which are going through the council at the moment or citizen panels, while a dog owner might really want to know about dog parks, dog friendly venues, and dates on things like dog registration. They might want updates on seasonal issues affecting dogs, which the council want to alert the public about. Overlaying each of these topics is the geographic dimension. People often care about what's in their immediate community or neighborhood much more than what is happening across the entire council. So while they want to know all of these topics, they often want to know them only for a specific area. What we're doing here is just giving people exactly the information that they want in the area that they're interested in as fast as possible. And the user is making the call. We're just giving them the tools to do it. Now, how does this relate to search? Typically, a council will be running many events or consultations at a time. And most cities or districts have a number of parks. It's hard for a resident to wade through all of these and find the thing that they're interested in. But with a search engine that can simply choose what they're interested in which area, and return those items to the user. That's what we want to allow the user to personalize their search experience. And it doesn't even have to look like a search page. It could appear as regular content on a page. For example, a section or web component called My Events Listing, or My Consultations, or My Favorite Dog Places list. With a good CMS and a good search, it can really look and function any way that you want. This gets more powerful again if we're able to remember their choices every time they revisit, so that every time they come back to the website, there's a fresh list of all the things which they're interested in. So we've had a look at three different approaches to search personalization. If you're interested in exploring any of these, there are some early decisions that need to be made first, starting with why you're doing it. In most personalization projects, it's because you're looking to achieve a goal, right? So getting people to do more or less of something. So the first thing you need to do is decide what do you want people doing more or less of? In other words, what is a specific metric you're looking to impact? It should be something meaningful, like the number of residents who successfully create a user account or pay a dog registration. Then you need to have a plan for measuring success. How will you know if you're being successful or not? There is a problem here, however. In a lot of organizations, customers don't sign up or transact through the website, but rather they go through some sort of online portal which is skinned up to look like the website, and that data is held in that third-party system. So sometimes just using Google Analytics can be insufficient to measure this success, and you need to get your hands on that data in the third-party system to know how many people have completed the action that you want them to take. So you do need to have a plan for how you're going to access this data, and you may need to talk to your developers about this. And if you're going to go down the segmentation-based approach, the third step is to determine who your segments are, where your personas are. Who are you personalizing these search results for? Are they residents, businesses, or visitors? Once you know the metric you're trying to impact, this is usually an easy decision to make. Step 4 is to decide how you will identify your segments. The most straightforward way is to simply ask them. Amazon does this really simply. If you're physically in one country, which has an amazing store, the Amazon store, which is amazing, say, for example, Germany, but you're looking at the website for a different Amazon country, for example, the UK, the site will ask you if you want to switch over to the other country site. But you can also infer this information. For example, if people are coming from an IP address which is in a different country or a different state. Our client Wollongong City Council does a really great job of this. They simply ask people at the start of their site visit if they are a resident, a visitor, or a business, and they allow people to switch as they please while they're browsing the site. And now you need to decide how you're going to deliver the personalization. When it comes to personalizing search results, we have got 3 ways which you can do this that we've grouped together under those categories of sort of easy, a bit less easy, and reasonably sophisticated. The good news is that if you use Funnelback, most of these things are out of the box. And in the case of sophisticated options where we're using third-party data, you can automate this with Squiz Connect. So if you've made it through to the end right now and you're thinking, okay, this scares me a little, or I'm not sure if my search tool can do this, Is this even worthwhile investigating a new one? Remember that there's value in getting this right. In the commercial sector, 91% of consumers are more likely to shop with brands who recognize, remember, and provide them with relevant offers and recommendations. And that's according to the Accenture survey. And while customers may not shop with you as such, especially in your council sites, it's clear by their spending habits they prefer and value personalization. Search users are driven to find something in particular, and your job is to connect them with it as quickly as possible. So that's all we've got for you today. Thanks for joining this webinar, and please reach out to us if you want to talk about personalization on your site search or see a demo of it in action.